And why I'm connecting this to what we're saying, when we focus on the needs of others, our needs come down because we become happy. When the heart is full, the stomach is full. And that's why when Nitin and Jutman said, only eat what you need, the best way to do that is be happy. Then that food just serves to be a functional utility. Same thing with sleeping. Only sleep as much as one wants or needs. The rest of the time, be alive. Right? Take life and use it. Sleep is just something to recuperate, to regroup. But it starts with that peace of mind. So like I was saying, this Mahatma Gandhi quote, the best way to find oneself is to lose oneself in the service of others. What a solid quote. By serving another person, who actually gets served? We do. We find out who we are. That was one of our fears. Who are we? Let us serve and let's figure it out. Mahatma Gandhi didn't know what he was talking about. He was in jail and wrote Gita. He brought down the British Empire. You know that British Empire where the sun never sets? It started setting. Right? This person who's a materialistic lawyer at one point in his life. As the wise man does, so the world follows. He was a wise man. Let us inculcate what he was teaching, what he was living by. This is the beauty of spirituality. By focusing on others, truly one is just focusing on oneself. It's like a paradox selfishness. The more that I teach, the more that I learn. The more that I sacrifice my time, the more that I benefit. That is the beauty of spirituality, is that it's a win-win situation. The world doesn't present those situations often. If I make an extra dollar, that's one less dollar for you. If I win a medal, you didn't. But if I get happy, so do you. And if you're not happy because I'm happy, you have a problem. Just an example. Because last time I was talking to Supriya, and she was saying that when you meet Swamiji and you ask Swamiji how he's doing, he tends to say he's absolutely fantastic. Because Swamiji is absolutely fantastic. And so Supriya really enjoyed that message, and so she started saying the same when people would ask her. She was telling me that one day her medical supervisor had asked her how she was, and she said, absolutely fantastic, and his smile turned into a frown. Right? That's what happens to us. You know, the next person's happy, and we ask why. Shouldn't we ask why you're sad, not why you're happy? That's what we feel like. When we're not stressed, we feel that we're lazy or we're not normal. Those preconceived notions are setting in. We can't let them set in. Selfishness, one tries to be happy, but is never happy. Selflessness, one never tries to be happy and gets happiness. It is such an interesting phenomenon or process about invoking happiness. As Swami Tejamananda had shared with us, the means to enlightenment is seva. The expression of enlightenment is also seva. By serving, we purify and understand this knowledge, and when we understand this knowledge, it becomes our nature to serve them. The master has no desires. He doesn't desire to serve, it becomes his nature, his or her nature. The sun doesn't try to shine. It's the nature of the sun. Sugar doesn't try to be sweet or exert effort. It is sweet. The same goes with the master. It's the means to get to being a master, seva. And once they're there, it just becomes natural to serve. You and I act for happiness, a master acts out of happiness. There's a fundamental difference between both. We act for happiness, they act out of happiness. Service is a preparation for meditation. You're learning about Karma Yoga right now? Karma Yoga is preparation for meditation, for Jnana Yoga. Service is the means to meditation. When people say, how do I meditate? Start serving. Start reducing that ignorance, that impurity. Then this process of meditation of going within will be possible. Otherwise, it's off limits then. As our dear Socrates from A Peaceful Warrior said, there is no higher purpose in life, referring to service. Dan Millman saying, you work at a gas station, he calls it a service station. Beautiful. What a solid movie. What a solid message. Whether one's serving gas, whether one's gardening, whether one is cleaning up the deer on the road, it's a service. It's not what one does, it's how one does it. A spiritual person doesn't do different things. We're stuck on that. A spiritual person must sleep 3 hours, or a spiritual person doesn't know how to use a computer, or a variety of other preconceived notions we have. It's not. A spiritual person doesn't do different things, but does things differently. They work, they eat, they walk, they exercise, but they do it with a smile. We do it with a frown. That's what separates a spiritual person and an aspiritual person. And I'll give you one more quote from Mahatma Gandhi. There is not a single moment when man cannot serve. There is not a single moment when man cannot serve. Downstairs, we have this seva chart. All groups should be serving. Someone is not smiling. Why aren't you smiling? Offer them an ear. Right? Service can be done all of the time. There's not a single moment when we can't be serving. How do we stay inspired? How do we keep this seva bhava alive? This is done when we start thinking about who we are serving. When we serve an individual, our capabilities are very limited. But when we are serving the Lord, then our capabilities become exponential. Our patience, our aptitude, it just amplifies more and more and more. Swami Tejamananda recently wrote a book called An Altar, A-L-T-A-R, alters your life, A-L-T-E-R-S. And the grander one's altar, the more capabilities that one expresses. If I serve myself, if I'm trying to get in shape just for myself, I'm tired, I don't need to. But if I'm getting in shape so that I can continue to teach as often as I can, then there's a lot more responsibility, a lot more motivation, inspiration. That's why when Bhakti Yoga says, see the Lord in everyone, there's a reason for it. There's rationale, there's purpose behind all of this. Now, bringing some more knowledge into this, we say God is infinite. What is exclusive of infinity? Nothing. Because if anything's exclusive of it, it's not infinite. So as soon as we say that God is in the stone but not in you, we're saying God is limited. God is not here, God is limited. If God is infinite, if Bhavan is infinite, if the divine is infinite, it's all-inclusive. So when I serve Jackie, when I serve Nikhil, then I'm serving the Lord. When you serve me, you're serving the Lord. Nothing is exclusive of the Lord. What changed? Just the way we see someone. Instead of just seeing Rishi in his name and his form, then one understands that, hey, his life principle and my life principle is exactly the same. The reason he's alive, the reason I'm alive is exactly the same. I'm not serving his name and form. I'm serving the life principle in the same way that I have that life principle. Just the vision changes. We can still remain in Illinois. We can still go to school. We can still eat. We can still work. Just have to change the way we think, because as we think, so we become. Ramana Maharishi says, Ashtamurti Brid, that this Lord has taken an 8-fold form in this universe. What are those 8 factors? There are 5 elements: air, water, fire, air, space. These 5 elements make up everything in the universe. My body's made up of earth? Yes. Water? Definitely. Heat? Homeostasis. I digest. There's body heat. So fire is there too. Air? I'm breathing. Space? I occupy space. So these 5 elements make up the entire universe. The other 3 factors are the moon, the sun, and the jiva. And what Swamiji has written is that the moon represents the constellations and the planets. The sun represents the planets and stars, and the jiva we know. The way I look at the moon and sun is the moon represents the mind. Because the devata for the mind is the moon, and the sun represents that intellect. The sun represents knowledge. Knowledge happens in the intellect. And that jiva is that ego. So we have our body, which is the 5 elements. The moon is the mind, the intellect is the sun, and the jiva is that ego. These same elements comprise everything. And so by serving the plant, by serving that person, by serving that animal, by serving the stone, I'm just serving the Lord.